I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
As farmers and ranchers, stewardship of the land comes naturally. Your work keeps our water clean, improves the soil, and enhances wildlife habitat. It also provides countless benefits, not just for you and your family, but for millions of Americans who depend on this region every day without even realizing it. Thank you for being stewards of America's prairie for all of us. Take a moment to find out how conservation pays. Visit conservationpays.org.
As a veteran, you get a lot of advice, but wisdom's harder to come by. A lot of people imagine themselves in our shoes without understanding the weight on our shoulders. The truth is, few can understand the pressure of finding your own way after serving in the military. But few isn't none. Steady yourself. You're not alone. You've got support. Learn more at maketheconnection.net.
This is WCPT 820, where you can hear the Stephanie Miller Show every weekday, 8 to 11 a.m., because facts matter.
AP News, I'm Haya Panjwani. Israel appeared to be expanding its air campaign on Tehran as President Donald Trump posted an ominous message warning residents of the city to evacuate. Meanwhile, in Gaza, the city's health ministry says over 50 Palestinians have been killed in the Strip while waiting for UN and commercial trucks to enter the territory with desperately needed food.
Palestinian witnesses have told the AP Israeli forces had fired on the crowds. The military has not immediately responded to a request for comment. The incident doesn't appear to be related to the new Israeli and US-supported aid delivery network that rolled out last month and has been marred by controversy and violence ever since. Palestinians have been saying Israeli forces had repeatedly been firing on crowds at aid points. Local health officials say scores have been killed and hundreds wounded. Youssef Nafal, an eyewitness, says he saw many people motionless and bleeding on the ground after Israeli forces recently opened fire. It was a massacre, he said, adding that the soldiers continued firing on people as they fled from the area. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
AP's Lisa Dwyer reports on a new trade deal between the US and the UK.
President Donald Trump and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer say that they are signing a trade deal to ease tariffs between goods from the US and the United Kingdom.
This now implements on car tariffs and aerospace, our really important agreement, and so this is a very good day.
It's a fair deal for both. Going to produce a lot of jobs, a lot of income, and we have many other ones coming. But you see the level of enthusiasm is very good. But the relationship that we have is fantastic.
The deal does not include tariffs on steel. Those talks are still ongoing. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Tropical storm Eric has formed early this morning near southern Mexico. It's expected to become a hurricane by Wednesday. This is AP News. Denmark is testing a fleet of robotic sailboats amid tensions with Russia.
The security situation in the Baltic is tense.
Lieutenant General Kim Jorgensen says Denmark needs
to improve the capabilities of Danish defense.
Those tensions, including suspected sabotage, have escalated since Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Damage to critical infrastructure, so undersea cables and pipelines, it needs to be seen. It's currently happening because no one's observing it.
Richard Jenkins is founder and CEO of California-based Saildrone. Powered by wind and solar energy, its robotic sailboats can operate autonomously for months.
So we have radars, cameras, optical, infrared, RF, acoustics, and sonar under the water. Those things give us a full picture as far as we can see, which is about 20 to 30 miles in the open ocean.
They're going to cruise Danish waters.
Jorgensen says the Danish Armed Forces are conducting a 3-month operational trial. I'm Ben Thomas.
I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few spotty showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, a blend of clouds and sunshine develops with a high around 90. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 15. Then for tonight, a chance for showers and storms, cloudy, a low near 69. Wednesday, chance for rain and storms, cloudy, high of 82 degrees. Thursday, sunshine and a high around 83. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 73.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Tuesday morning, progressives. Yes, and welcome to the June 17th, 2025 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and iHeartRadio, most definitely. And, of course, you got to email me at richard@wcpt820.com. Catch me on Substack, as always. Catch all of our shows by subscribing where? To our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There you can get Choose Views, short version and long versions of featured interviews and all the rest. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath. Out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. And there's cool stuff there. So you got to make your way out. As always, I'll share a little bit about that with you after we come back from our first break. Some of the things that are happening over at Heartland Signal, our digital platform that we have, and it's really a cool spot to be. It's Tuesday, and Henry's with us today. And he and Devin kind of shook things up a little bit. I knew that they were going to do it. They've been covering for each other with all the busyness that we have going on here, and making sure that we keep everything on the rails. And like always, these guys and Paul and Lady P, they really keep us running down the track successfully. So always like to give them shout outs. And when you guys do call in or whenever you communicate with us, just, shout out to those guys and thank them for the work that they do. It's part of the team effort. And right now, when I think about that and process that in the bigger picture of our country, the Democratic team is making some strides. Mike Nellis and I talked about this yesterday, and shout out to Mike for being with us. That was a great conversation. But the Democratic team is getting some wins in some local areas, and those wins are in areas that we weren't expected to win, and I think that is a good sign. But it's also it's nothing to rest on our laurels about. It is critically important that we continue the fight. I'm going to talk about that today in terms of the fight and the team, and some signs of people are not asleep at the wheel, and that they are fighting. And we'll talk about how our Democratic elected officials and leaders are fighting back on a federal level and on a state and local level, which is what we have to have. I think that the conversation about policy is important, and I think that the conversation around what we have to do better as a team is there and very important. But I think at the end of the day, people, from everything that I'm reading and trying to pay attention to and remain objective as best I can, is that people want to see fight. There wasn't much policy that was discussed during the protests. And what I mean by that is you didn't see people sitting down and talking about policy. What we saw is people out fighting with their feet and their signs and their voices with the protests that took place. 5 million people. That's a lot of folks, y'all. And it was, again, our team came together. And I would say, I don't know this for a fact, I would say based on a little bit of common sense, but also just geographics, that there were a lot of people who are joining our team. They may not have been on our team last November for whatever reason. And clearly, you guys know I'm making some speculation here, and I openly admit that. However, I do believe that a lot of people there are a lot of people who may not have been on our team or may not have even been dressed for the event, meaning they didn't vote, that showed up this past weekend. And if that's true, and I have to believe, I guess that's the part of the optimistic side of me, which drives me every single day, is finding some optimism in the midst of all the criticism and things that I may delve into. It was to see and to think that people are fighting, and there are people who joined our team, and there are people who got dressed to show up this past weekend. I'm hoping that that's the case, and I do have to. I have to keep hope as part of what I do, because I know that one of the things that this administration is trying to do is suck the hope out of the country, because then there will be people who will be compliant if they have nothing to lean on but this crazy administration that isn't getting anything done for all of the country. So that's where I come from in the basis of my thought process around our team needing to continue to fight. We need to continue to get these wins. We cannot wait until the midterms. We have to get these wins now in these special elections or any of the elections that are quote unquote off season. We have to get those wins, and that those are indicators that people are coming out and participating. So that's why what Mike and I said yesterday was critically important, and why we really have to make sure that we keep people plugged in. We've got a couple clips that we'll play for you on today's show that I think you guys will be glad to hear. Our guests include today Kelda Royce, who's the Wisconsin State Senator from the Senate District in 26 in Wisconsin, and right here our own Jahmal Cole, CEO of My Block, My Hood. He'll be with us this morning, so I'm really, really excited about that. My Block, My Hood, and that's going to be fun to have Jahmal with us this morning, talking about all that his organization's doing in the city of Chicago, and it's impacting the surrounding area as well. So, with that being said, though, we got a little bit of humor and some blanked out profanity coming from our good friend, none other than Cliff Cash. Check this out, progressives.
I just want to say thank you real quick to MAGA, because you guys always make my points for me. Like, you don't mean to, but you're so stupid that you can't help it. I had a MAGA, a.k.a. a boot-licking, unwitting Russian pawn with a 5th grade reading level that probably dropped out of high school and lives beside a Dollar General. Boot-licking piece of just want to clarify who I'm talking about. This guy said, Biden and Obama deported more illegal immigrants than Trump has, and nobody said a word. It's like, yeah, buddy, I know. What you're telling me is, which I already knew, is that Obama and Biden were more effective against what you call illegal immigration, which is, I disagree on all the parameters of that, but that's what you call it. So both those presidents were more effective than this one without causing any turmoil, any notable turmoil. They didn't rip babies out of their mother's arms. They didn't raid workplaces where honest people were earning a living. They didn't send military into cities where the governor and mayor and chief of police didn't want them. You're right. They didn't do any of that. They didn't send anybody to a death camp in a developing country. They didn't arrest and deport people without due process. They didn't kidnap people in the middle of the night. They didn't send people to prison that have no criminal record. You're right, Billy Bob. They were more effective than your cult leader without doing any of that. You're right. Excellent point. Thank you for making that excellent point, you f***ing imbecile. I couldn't agree more. And isn't it funny that you guys call these people cartel, drug smuggler, violent criminal, rapist, murderer, blah, 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 freeloaders? Why are they all being arrested at work? Is that what MS-13 criminals do? Do they frame houses when they're not busy being international criminal masterminds? They're raiding restaurants. Is that where the criminals are? Washing dishes and waiting tables? Like the lady in Missouri who'd been working at the restaurant for 20 years? Are those the dangerous criminals? The mothers, they are being ripped away from their screaming children? You heartless, soulless, brainless simpleton. You're a clown. You're a traitor to your country. You're not a Christian. You're not a patriot. Please quit pretending.
Like nobody else can say other than comedian Cliff Cash. And I thanks to our engineers for cleaning that up as best we could. I think you guys got the message beyond the profanity. But this is true. I mean, yes, former President Biden and Obama deported people. They did what they were supposed to do. The difference is significant. It's significant that, to Cliff's point, I said this a little bit last week, and others have been saying a similar thing. Without all the chaos and drama, and we didn't have to have a convention where we had signs with people walking around mass deportation. They just got it done, and they did it in a way that was humane to the best of the best of our knowledge and their ability. And because listen, so Henry, here's why you know that the contrast that Cliff points out of how Biden and Obama did it versus how Trump is doing it. Here's how you know that that's probably on point, and whatever we didn't see that was behind the curtain is probably on point about this. It's because the mainstream media would have been dogging the hell out of both of them. I mean, let's be honest, y'all. For those out there who want to say, oh, there's Chew again being partisan. No, y'all's mainstream media, and I mean the MAGA. I have to be really careful now when I say y'all, because the progressives are getting a little upset if I say y'all, thinking that I'm talking. No, I'm talking to the MAGA folks that you have to deal with. So how about this? This prepares you for when you're talking to those knuckleheads. The mainstream media would have aired the hell out of this kind of chaos if Biden and Obama had the same kind of chaos, which tells you that they didn't, because they would have used it as a way to just go after them. Just think about that. Let that one marinate a little bit. And in that, we're going to take a quick break because the number is 773-763-9278. That is the Credo mobile phone and text line. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In 1939, when Europe was on the brink of war, a single mother was bringing Jewish refugees into her home, teaching her two daughters to help others when you can and fight injustice. Freddie and Tross Alferstegen took their mother's advice to heart, joining their mother in distributing anti-Nazi newspapers and pamphlets for the resistance, a dangerous act when the Nazis invaded the Netherlands. But with the girls being young, Freddie being only 14 and Tross being only 16, Nazis were less likely to suspect them to be working for the resistance. This is most likely why in 1941, a commander of the Haarlem resistance group to ask their mother if he could recruit Freddie and Tross. Their mother and the girls agreed and were given basic training, and within 2 years, the girls are bringing Jewish refugees into hiding, working in emergency hospitals, sabotaging bridges and railway lines, and killing Nazis, sometimes ambushing them from their bicycles. Despite the Netherlands not wanting to acknowledge the girls' achievements, their contributions to helping the Allied powers will never be unnoticed.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Choose View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, progressives, welcome back to Choose Views. Let me hit you with a couple of Choose Views news items on this June 17th, 2025. Fed projections are to be scrutinized. The Federal Reserve's economic projections and commentary will be closely watched this week in lieu of any expected change in the interest rates. The central bank is forecast to leave its key borrowing rate on hold for a fourth meeting amid uncertainty over the effect of tariffs and geopolitical events. Almost half of economists surveyed last week by Bloomberg News expect rates to remain unchanged as a hedge against resurgent inflation until or unless the data point to slowing growth and rising unemployment. Excuse me. Southwest is upgrading its safety system. A series of near misses at U.S. airports has rattled carriers and prompted Southwest to act. The Dallas-based airline has added a new cockpit alert system to nearly all of its roughly 800 planes that will use voice and text to avoid potential runway collisions, according to the Wall Street Journal. The Honeywell-designed system can alert pilots if they are using the wrong runway, landing on a taxiway, or coming in too fast. Southwest is responding to industry-wide close calls driven by post-pandemic travel surges, inexperienced pilots, and overworked air traffic controllers. And I think the latter is also a symptom of the reduction in traffic controllers available. G7 leaders are gathering in Canada amid an escalating conflict between Israel and Iran and global uncertainty around trade. World leaders arrived in Canada for the Group of Seven summit. Trade and tariffs will be high on the agenda, and the U.S. is expected to conduct a series of bilateral talks that started yesterday. Canadian negotiators hope to convince the U.S. to lift tariffs on steel and aluminum, and it's being reported that Trump's not going to. Typically a show of unity between the U.S. and its allies, this year's G7 is not expected to end with any joint statement of unity. Why? Because of the orange one. And last but not least, the Louvre closes amid tourist deluge. This has been happening across parts in certain areas of high travel and tourism to Europe. The Louvre was closed yesterday as staff went on strike to protest what they say is unmanageable wave of tourism. Made worse by chronic understaffing and cuts to state funding, the iconic Paris Museum isn't the only tourist hotspot struggling to keep up these days. Venice is charging visitors an extra fee, while Rome has instituted a new entrance system for the Trevi Fountain. Americans in particular have been flocking to Europe post-pandemic, despite economic uncertainty and also due to the change in administration. So there you go, guys. A couple of quick Choose Views news items on this June 17th, 2025. Make your way over to Heartland Signal, like I always say. Great stuff that's there. Our own J.B. Pritzker had a few things to say. Lauren Boebert decided she was going to continue to show her ignorance, unintelligence, and the just ability to. She thinks that being a mean girl and yelling and sounding like she knows what she's talking about means that she knows what she's talking about until she runs up against someone like J.B. Pritzker. She made reference to what we're seeing in Los Angeles as an insurrection, and he countered with an insurrection. That's an insurrection. If that is, then you don't know what an insurrection is when you're trying to overturn an election here at Congress. He called it outrageous. Another person tried to come after Governor Pritzker, Mary Miller from Illinois, and he said, "I'm not going to be lectured by someone who extorts the virtue of Hitler." So, JB can handle a punch. He can throw them, and he's shown that he can take them. So I'm proud of our governor for the way in which he's handling some of these testimonies and what's coming our way. Let's be honest. Trump made the announcement that he's going to increase the ICE raids here in Illinois, or specifically New York, LA, and Chicago. So we've been knowing it's coming, and I have trust and faith in our governor, our county executives, and our mayor that they will navigate this as best possible. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we don't see what happened in Los Angeles. And I'm not pointing fingers at the folks in LA, but I'm hoping that we don't have to see what we saw in Los Angeles here in Chicago, or frankly any other city. And this is the reason that we will be talking about this in the days to come. We will be playing clips around it. I had someone said to me in an email, the more we talk about Trump, the more we give him air and oxygen. And I get that. Don't get me wrong. I understand that not talking about him is a course of action that we can and will take based on the subject of the day. And we also are guided by what our other politicians are having to deal with. So I hear you when you guys say, let's not give Trump too much oxygen. And so I'm not, that doesn't fall on deaf ears. Trust me in that space. But one of the things I wanted to put out in this conversation before we get up on the next break is this assassination, this terrorism in Minnesota. This is one of those moments where how my brain works, Henry. I think, okay, I understand the concerns that people say that the Democratic Party, or let's be specific, that Kamala Harris didn't speak to certain people. I hear that. I've heard that, and I get it. And Mike talked about this yesterday. I've talked about it. In times of crisis, the country looks to our leaders, our top leaders, to steer us and to guide us and to provide some compassion. And that is yet to happen with Donald Trump in this assassination and this terrorism that took place in Minnesota. It hasn't. The vice presidential candidate, also known as the governor of Minnesota, has shown more leadership and guidance and compassion that Donald Trump will show in the whole course of this. And so I know that we need to give voters something to vote for. And I've said this before, and I know I'm going to say it again. This is that time. If there were a time in life where you vote against something, this was that time. And so to say that the Democrats didn't give enough to the voters to vote for, I still think is a little bit irresponsible, and it skips over the racism and sexism part of this past election. But it also skips over, sometimes you just have to say no to something. And it doesn't always have to be, I have to have a reason to vote for, something to vote for. How about voting for protecting ourselves from craziness? That's not a policy. That's not, there's maybe too many political words, but this is what I'm talking about. Vice President Harris would have shown compassion to this family and to the state. Of course, Governor Walz would have been vice president, but y'all get what I'm saying? So I understand loud and clear. It doesn't fall on deaf ears that the Dems our team has to make some adjustments, maybe get some new players, maybe retire some players and change. I get all of that. I read it. I pay attention to it. I still think that the miss for the country was they needed to be convinced to vote for something what they should have been voting for, which would have been indirectly better economic policies, voting for peace, voting for some sanity, and voting against having a president who doesn't understand the importance of compassion and not attacking the governor of a state where people were assassinated because of a person that's a minion of his. It's borne itself out. We don't have to tap dance around a possible follow. No, it's been proven. So let's not play that game. If we want to talk about how to talk about things, let's not play that game of tiptoeing around. He may have been a Trump follower. He may have been a MAGA supporter. Stop doing that. Just call him he is. He is, and he perpetrated his terror on folks. So stop. We all have to stop doing that. Point it out, call it out. One of our new colleagues here said to me the other day, she said, the time is gone where we can't call the BS the BS. And she used the real words. Shout out to Maggie. She made it clear that those days are over. She literally pointed and said, we have to point at people and let them know that that's a blankety blank lie. So let's start to do that. Let's stand on business in that space. All right, 2 quick things before we hit the break. I was sent this, and I'm glad I got it. This is from the National Park Service. I was a little under in my numbers about the weekend and the various protests. We're honored to announce a final count of 13.14 million in attendance across 2,300 plus No Kings protests nationwide. It took a little longer to finalize due to the sheer scale, but the turnout was historic. So far, 71 MAGA agitators have been arrested, with 62 additional agitators still underway. We're actively reviewing online threats and working on escalating where needed. If you see something, say something. So there you go. Those are the numbers that are coming in. That's a large number of people. 13.14 million folks showed up. All right. In this political time that we're in, I want to ask you guys a question, and I hope you guys will participate in this in one way or another. You all know that I love music. I love different forms and types of music. I have my favorite areas, but music in general I believe it's a connecting. My sister said this weekend, it's a way of connecting us to people that we may not normally be connected to. And I agree with her in that. She was spot on. We were talking about the song by Harry Chapin, Cats in the Cradle. That's a universal song, because the CBS Morning News did a story on him in relationship to Father's Day, and that song is about fathers and sons, or fathers and children, if you want to broaden it. But it's a great song, and I know you know it. You didn't grow up with it. I grew up with it, but it's a great song. It's everlasting. And we were talking about how music, she's being a 60s child, or her cutting her teeth in the 60s and going to the military in the late 60s, how music was so much of a protest tool during the 60s and all that was happening with Vietnam and social change and all. And so it was a real cool conversation that I had with her about that, and how diversity in music at the time, you could be of any community, but you liked all types of music. And that's just the truth of where we were at that time. I listen to, my favorites are, have historically been jazz, classical, and R&B. But I love me some great pop songs and some folk music from the 70s, because the lyrics inside of them, and Henry, you know this, there's great lyrics, storytellers, and on and on and on and on and on. All right, that's my long preamble to say this. I want to know what would be your song or songs in your lifetime, no matter how old you are, because it's not about how old you are, it's the song itself with the music. Tell me a song that you feel has a political or social message. Again, tell me a song that you feel, or is one of your songs that you like because of the fact that it has a political or social message. I want to hear what you guys have to say in that space, because there's some great ones out there. Let me know. Give us a call. We'll talk about it during the course of the show. And of course, our number here is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Imagine having all the money you need for retirement, all the income, every month, guaranteed. That's Secure Future Investor. Secure Future utilizes an indexed annuity tied to growth in the U.S. stock market, but without any risk of loss ever. That's right. No matter what happens in the market, your investment can never decline. Down years, you're insured against any losses. Boom years, your retirement account grows exponentially to increase your worth. Whether the market is up or down, Secure Future Investor can set you up with guaranteed money for life income. It's the difference between thinking you have enough money to retire and knowing you're getting that retirement check every single month for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. Over 40 years old? Call now. 888-509-2228. 888-509-2228. Sponsored by GP Agency, Inc., Raleigh, North Carolina. Licensed in all states. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial professional before making an investment decision.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few spotty showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, a blend of clouds and sunshine develops with a high around 90. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 15. Then for tonight, a chance for showers and storms, cloudy, a low near 69. Wednesday, chance for rain and storms, cloudy, high of 82 degrees. Thursday, sunshine and a high around 83. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 73.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
It's Chew's View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to the show. I just felt compelled after a great conversation with my sister Linda to ask you guys that question. Tell me a song that you feel has a political, social message. And of course, one that's impacted you. I don't care the musical genre, whoever it is that it comes from. But just want to hear what you have to say. One of the ones that I've received from our good friend Kurt Mullett, "The Times They Are A-Changin'" by Bob Dylan. That's a great song. And I know that there's going to be others that you guys are going to throw at me, and I'm looking forward to those. However, today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito's guests are Lynn Olson, New York Times bestselling author and historian. Her latest book is The Sisterhood of Ravensbrück. Dr. Lauren Liebarger will be with Joan as well, Ohio University professor and religious studies specialist, focusing on Islam and comparative religions. Ed Yonka, director of communications and public policy at ACLU, Illinois. Live, Local, and Progressive. Weekdays 2 to 5. That's Joan Esposito here on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk for 20 years. And then, as your day goes by, you'll be driving it home with none other than Patty Vasquez, who will be broadcasting live from the Minocqua Brewing Company tap room in Madison. And her guests will include Kirk Bangstead of Minocqua Brewing and WHBY Outside the Box host Ben Kamenos. Yep, she drove up to Madison, y'all. So she's driving it home from Wisconsin. That's Patty from Madison, Wisconsin. That's Patty Vasquez. Weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And yes, tomorrow, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be with us. Darren Parker of Impulse Group. And I think we're also going to, let me make sure of this before I say it and it's wrong. We are probably going to have Kate Lincoln Goldfinch with us tomorrow, immigration attorney. So looking forward to having the three of them with us, and that'll be a lot of fun. And, of course, this is the Credo mobile phone and text line. That's our place. That's our spot. Okay, so let's have some fun a little bit with the music and the conversations around that. Let's see what a few people have sent me so far. Hold on. Bear with me, guys. Stay with me. Let's see. All right. Let's see what we've got here. Stay with us. We're making a little background noise because we're trying to look at some of your texts. Oh, my goodness. You guys are just lighting it up. This land is your land. Okay, there you go. That's one that I hadn't thought about. Let's keep moving. Let's work through it, and then we'll talk about them. Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On?" Yeah, released in '71. That was definitely, that's definitely always relevant. Thanks, 313. Let's see. The Who, "Won't Get Fooled Again" by Pete Townsend. Yeah, very true. That's got to look at the lyrics. See, this is the great thing about this. This is why I asked the question, and I'm so glad you guys are calling and texting. Music is amazing. It's a connective thing, I believe. There's nothing that I've ever felt other than good connection with music, and it is a tie for. It's a way for us to bind and be bound together. And right now, I think no other time in my lifetime. Well, I shouldn't say no other time. Certainly, this is one of the most important times for our team to come together, and to to beat down and beat back the craziness. So let me get through a couple more, then we'll grab some calls on this. Let's see. Another one, "Just One Victory," Todd Rundgren. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. An oldie but a goodie, Buffalo Springs, Stop Children. What's that sound? Yeah, that's right. Wow. You guys are great. Shout out to every one of you. Let me see if I can get to a couple more. Then we'll get to some calls in this space. Let's see. This is from Mike Naperville. One song that sticks with the message, and today is the Young Buds Get Together. Keep it up. Okay. The song is Get Together. All right. Cool. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your commentary and your emails. Marvin Gaye hits it twice. What's going on? That's a double. Okay, let's see. Neil Young's Ohio. Okay, there you go. That's about the shooting, of course, at Kent State. Wake up, everybody. Harold Melvin, the Blue Notes. Yep, that's another good one. The revolution will not be televised. Gil Scott-Heron. Let's see. Ball of Confusion, The Temptations. Yep. There you go, guys. You guys are fantastic. You were fantastic before this, but it's great to see. This is my point. It almost gets me choked up. This is a connective tissue for us. Right, Henry? I mean, and so, shout out to my sister Linda, who turned to me and said, I absolutely love that song. One of my favorite songs. We were watching this at the CBS Sunday with Jane Pauley, and it was it brought back great memories on Father's Day. Okay, let's grab a call or two. Let's see what we got. Let's go to Kamala in Rogers Park. Good morning, ma'am. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Good morning.
How are you?
Yeah. Song I grew up. One of the things I say is that I was taught primarily by old hippies when I was a kid and in undergrad. And one of the songs that I remember them playing was 110 Soldier by Coven.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the ultimate anti-war song. And if you remember, you probably remember Peter, Paul, and Mary's Where Have All the Flowers Gone?
Yep, I do.
Yeah, and music can impact you because these were people that were my speech therapists, and they were my professors, they were my teachers, and they walked the walk during the civil rights movement. And some of them were white people that marched for everyone's rights, black, white, queer, straight, whatever, women. And I teach at a community college here in Chicago. I teach sociology at Olive Harvey. And one of the things I tell my students is that my professors and my teachers stood by their principles, and they were impacted by that because these things that they believed in kept them from Ivy League prestigious careers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a professor that marched side by side with Martin Luther King.
Yep.
And got his windows pelted by people who didn't like him having an Obama sign on his front yard.
Yeah.
And I bring that energy to my classroom, and I get impacted because I stand by our queer students. I stand by all students, and I tell students in my class, this is a hate-free zone. Hate has no home here. And no, I'm dead serious, and all bodies are welcome.
Yep, that's how it should be.
And that's the way it should be. So when I think of music, I play music in class. And they're like, what's this stuff? What's this stuff you're playing? I'm like, just listen to it.
Yep.
We get interesting.
Yeah, what's so great about it. And thank you for your call and your song.
Okay, cool.
Here's what I want you guys to do that are listening, that are calling in, that we can get to. I want you to note this moment, okay? All of the lines are full. I've gotten dozens of I can't even get to them fast enough without getting distracted. What I want you guys to do, and thanks, Kamala, for your call. I'm going to try to get to another one. Be well, and thanks for your contribution. I want you guys to note this moment in terms of coming together. And I want you guys to remember this and use it as a tool. I mean, in a good way. Use it as a resource to help continue to bring all of our team back together. You can say words sometimes and they touch off a lyric. And there's a song by Roy Ayers, Love Will Bring Us Back Together. That's one. I mean, it's just me saying bring us back together made me think of that song. I want you guys to use this as a resource to keep you strong in this crazy time, and as a way to reach out to people that you need to reach out to bring back into the tent. Let's go to Cassandra in Oak Park. Good morning, Cassandra, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm great. What's going on? How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. So the song that has been resonating with me since I heard it is "Stand Up" by Jasmine Sullivan from the soundtrack for the movie Till.
Yeah.
And there's a stanza which says, "You got a purpose. What is your reason? What is you fighting for? I see you searching. Burning inside is something you can't ignore. Yeah, everyone's hurting, but you got to fight. Get up and keep moving forward. See, don't back away with your hand up because somebody needs you to stand up."
Yeah.
And I realized that was kind of like a song I didn't know I was listening to when I was moving through my corporate jobs, because I was always one of.
Mm-hmm.
But when they would, throw things, and when you're seeing racism, or when you're being discounted, or when you're being pushed to the back, and I would stand up for myself.
Yep, that's right.
I would do it politely, but very firmly, and just let it be known. And I think in this time right now that we're in, we got to stand up. We got to stand up to the bullies of the MAGAs, and the bullies are the ones who are too cowardly to stand up to the MAGAs.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and that second part, Cassandra, is us standing up for someone else as we stand
Correct.
up. So you're right on in that space, standing up for ourselves and not being overtaken, but also standing up for others who may not be standing up to and standing up for others who may not be capable or feel that they will be threatened if they stand up. I think this weekend, and again, this is one of the reasons that I'm so thankful for having spent time with my brother-in-law and sister. They re-inspire me every time I see them. So, Cassandra, thanks for that. That's a great one. That is a great song, and it's a great movie as well. So appreciate your contribution this morning.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. All right, Henry, let's, before the break, let's go to Donna in Rogers Park. Good morning, Donna. What is your song, I guess you're calling about?
Well, I had
You got a couple of
one
them.
I was going to say, "What's going on?" That's already gone.
No, it's not.
But
That's
I've
the
got
thing.
a couple others. "Imagine" by John Lennon
Yeah.
and Yoko, because we're talking about imagine what this whole world could be about. But what I did want to ask you, what did you think about what Trump was talking about, the other countries that he's trying to cut off now? I mean, he's expanding the countries or states or countries that he doesn't want in America now. He's going to block some more countries, and of course, they're all with people of color, black people. What do you think about that grouping that he's added to the current one?
Here's what I think about it. It's once again part of his insanity, but I push back in this, not on you, but I'm pushing this toward, not back. I'm pushing this toward all the people running around in our country that's saying that we're not, remember the question that was asked a few years ago, are we a racist country or do we have racist tendencies? That is nothing other than racism from the president of the United States. That's what that is. So that I just turn it on to people who go, "Oh, chew, it's not that bad, dude. Come on." No, when you have the president of the United States that won't share some heartfelt sentiments to the folks who are impacted by this terrorist attack in Minnesota, rather talk about, turning away, not connecting with, getting rid of folks from countries that are brown skinned. That's a racist president, or that's a president acting in a racist way. Let me put it that way, so I don't get a call from somebody saying I called the president a racist. That being said, Don, a great point, great question and observation.
But there's another aspect to this. When I think about him making those statements, I'm thinking to myself, how do black people support somebody that's overtly racist? I just can't quite
Wrap your head around
put that together.
I know. Well, I got a great clip that I'm going to play, and I might get to this clip right after your call, from a black leader really getting after somebody who is in the one person that's in the administration that is of brown skin. I'm not going to say anything more than that.
You're talking about the Department of Housing and Urban Development?
Yeah.
The only spot in the whole group.
You see, you could say that. I'm not going to say that because I'll get in trouble because we know what that means. And Henry's even laughing like Henry even knows what that means. So, all right, Donna, you're a bad girl this morning.
See you later.
All right, dear. Have a great day. Oh, Lord have mercy. All right, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to play this clip. We're going to try to get to your calls, and I'll try to read through some of your other responses about songs that are political and social. This is 773-763-9278. It's Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Ready to hold the powerful accountable? Leave your message for Richard Chu at 773-467-8202 because democracy needs your voice.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. When Serena Williams won her title at the Tennis Grand Slam tournament, we know she gets the same prize money as her male counterpart. However, prior to 1973, that wasn't always the case. When Billie Jean King captured her first Wimbledon title in 1966, she was surprised to find out that the winner of the men's tournament received £2,000, while she only received £750. After being unable to find any tournaments for women, King and 8 other women formed their own tournament, the Virginia Slims Invitational, where each woman was paid $1 before posing for the famous picture of them each holding up their dollar, with the caption, "Contract Pros." While the move was bold, the pay discrepancies continued. King threatened to boycott the 1973 U.S. Open unless the women were paid the same as the men. Thanks to a grant from Band Deodorant, both the men and women singles would take home $25,000. Despite the progress at the U.S. Open, it wouldn't be until 1984 that the Australian Open would execute equal pay, followed by the French Open in 2006, and finally Wimbledon in 2007. This has been a WCPT moment in labor. We're fighting for your rights.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
Guys, welcome back to Choose Views. We're going to get to that clip in a moment, but let's grab a couple more quick calls before we get there. Let's go to Bob in Indiana. Good morning, Bob. Welcome to the show.
Richard and me, Bonnie lad. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Good to hear your voice, Bob.
Well, fortunately, I'm sick, so I was up early. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you.
Well, here we are. That's how it works sometimes.
Well, let's see. You wanted a song?
Yes.
Well, how about Satisfied by Jack Payne and the BBC Orchestra.
Wow.
Instrumental, 1929.
Wow.
Enjoy it.
That's.
I wanted to tell you, I hope you folks are getting crowded over there at WCPT. I was at the protest in Michigan City.
Yep.
And, I have been, whenever I get the chance, telling people about the radio station and all the shows.
Thank you very much.
And they said, gee, I never heard of that. And I said, well, check them out.
Wow.
And I'm trying to plant the seeds where I can. So you might be getting bugged more and more if I can shake people up.
Well, Bob, that's appreciated, and frankly, it's a thing that we all get to do, is to spread the word, and that's wherever I go and whomever I talk to, I always ask to spread the word. That's part of an opportunity that we have to keep us pushing forward.
I wish I would have had, of course, I didn't even know if I was even going to be able to make it. I said, boy, I wish I would have had, some little cards or flyers I could have passed out.
Well, from your mouth to the station's ears, that's something that I'm working on. I'll share that with you guys in the weeks to come to keep you posted in that space. But Bob, thank you so much. Get healthy, my man.
Have a good one.
Take it easy. All right, bye. Yeah, Bob's a good one. Let's go real quickly to Troy. Hey, good morning, Troy. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Richard. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. What's happening with you?
I want to ask you a question. Just a question. Have you ever saw a sick chicken?
A sick chicken?
Yes.
I don't know if I have.
When he's very sick and stuff like that, and he don't know which way he's going.
Okay, I've seen maybe confused chicken might be a way I'd answer your question.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Richard. this song, if we keep on doing right and if we come out every election like we came out Saturday and stuff like that,
Yep.
and I'm going to say it to you. Let me say this for you. You know, if a lot of people, they done messed up now. You know, a lot of people going to start covering their face. A lot of people going to start snatching people, and a lot of people they're going to start killing people. But like I say, if a lot of people come out like they did Saturday, this song will say, we're going to prove to the people it's a better day coming. Okay, Mr. Rich.
All right, Troy. Thanks for your call, my man.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to Ken here in Rogers Park. Good morning, Ken. Welcome to the show.
My favorite is What the World Needs Now.
Ah, there you go.
Jackie DeShannon.
There you go. What the World Needs Now. The great song, by the way.
Great song.
Great
I
song.
can't see anybody. Everybody loves that.
Yeah, well, let me put it to you this way, Ken. I don't know anybody that doesn't like the song.
Right.
Because if anybody does a remake of it, it could be done in an instrumental version. It could be done in whatever musical genre and style. That's one that crosses it should cross all communities, don't you think?
Of course, the words in it is unbelievable.
Was that written by Burt Bacharach?
That I'm not sure. I know Jackie DeShannon sang it.
Yeah, and sort of Dionne Warwick.
Bacharach, I'm not sure.
I think Burt Bacharach.
Oh, Dionne Warwick sang it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was part of their the series. That series is the wrong word, but the stretch that they did together.
Right.
But
no, Dionne Warwick did a lot with Burt Bacharach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's my favorite.
That's yours. Yeah, that's a good one, Ken. Like I said, it crosses all communities. So
I can't see anybody that does not like that song.
Me either.
Yeah.
Ken, thank you for your call this morning. Stay safe out there. Stay strong. And
you too, Rich.
You know where to find us.
Okay, take care.
All right, bye-bye now. Yeah, I love y'all. I really do. And that is exactly what the world needs now. Okay, so because of Donna, we have this clip. It was ironic that we have this clip, and she's just talking about it. So she asked the question how folks of color, specifically black folks, could be behind this, given the carnage and the hate and the harm. So we have this clip from Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman talking to the HUD director.
It is shameful, and you ought to be ashamed of being here. You don't have to answer any question because you haven't answered one yet.
Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman just got the new Housing and Urban Development Secretary all the way together after he proposed cutting over 50% of HUD's budget, which would impact millions of Americans, especially Black Americans. She went through some of the cuts, too.
A 40% cut to rental and homeless assistance programs totaling $27.25 billion. A $53 billion cut to Section 8 rental assistance. An $8.8 billion cut to public housing. A $1.2 billion cut to Sections 202 and 811 programs for the elderly and disabled.
And then she was done. Oh, no, she's still okay, go ahead. Yep.
A $505 million cut to HOPWA. A $22 billion cut to HUD's Housing Construction Supply and Preservation Program. A $1.25 billion cut to the home program. You care about home ownership? I don't think so.
Now, she went on to list millions of dollars of other cuts that would target affordable housing, public housing, and the conditions worsening with those targets. Home ownership being targeted, homelessness services, youth and family stability. But one of my favorite parts out of this whole thing is when she had to remind him about his own blackness with him trying to cut DEI contracts.
What the heck are you talking about? Eliminating DEI contracts in HUD. Who's your population? Who should you be looking after? It is shameful, and you ought to be ashamed of being here. You don't have to answer any question because you haven't answered one yet.
And he tried to give the same answer that he had been given for the entire committee hearing, and that's when she went into full black auntie mode. Roll it.
Miss Watson Coleman, if you'll let him, Miss Watson Coleman, if you'll let him answer the question, your time has expired.
Listen, I reclaimed my time back. I yielded my time. You wouldn't let him waste your time. You left.
Damn.
we have some other clips because that I wanted to focus a little bit on today in terms of Dems fighting, but we'll let Auntie Bonnie Watson-Coleman have the moment there. All right, before we get to the top of the hour, let me kind of run through some of the quick run through the music. Let's see, from Casey. Let's see. Who? The Who. Let's see, Action. Let's see. Which side are you on? Rebel Diaz, Rise Up, Andra Day, We the People. Let's see. Fight the Power, the Ozzy Brothers, yes, and Public Enemy, but Fight the Power by the Ozzy Brothers is legendary. Let's see what else we got. The Peace Train, Two Hangmen by Mason Prophet, We Shall Overcome. Let's see what else we got, Henry. The comment, interesting that everyone is reaching back to the protest songs of the Vietnam era, and they still apply to what's happening today. Lois, you were spot on. And let's see if we can get a couple more before the break. Unknown Soldier by the Doors. That is another great classic. What else we got? Uprising by Muse. Let's see. George is sending. Hey Man, Nice Shot by Filter. We Can Change the World, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Yep. These are all phenomenal. Let's see. Burt Bacharach. Well, yeah, songs by Burt Bacharach. Boy, you guys are phenomenal. Just keep it coming for the rest of the show. I'll try to get them read. You know who you sent them if I don't have your name. But thanks to Raina, thanks to Nancy, thanks to George, Lois, the list goes on. Casey, thanks to all of you for replying and sharing that with us. And the point that Lois, I think it was Lois that made this. Let me make sure as we wrap up. Interesting, this is coming from Lois, interesting that everyone is reaching back to the protest songs of the Vietnam era, and they still apply to what's happening today. And that's what I meant earlier when I said it crosses all generations, because the lyrics of the songs were strong during that era, and they are relevant today. But at the end of the day, what's the common thread, Henry, is protest and folks speaking up and speaking out. And that's where I go and say, yes, we want our politicians, our democratic elected democratic officials to do more, to fight harder, to fight the power. And we also have to pick up our energy and our tools and fight as well. We have to be our own media in this point. So let's hit that quick break, Henry. 773-763-9278. When we come back, we'll be talking with Wisconsin Senator from the 26th District, Kelda Royce.
WCPT 20th Anniversary Replay 2018.
Lori Lightfoot, a candidate for mayor of the city of Chicago. Welcome to Back on the Beat.
It's my pleasure to be here with you, Dick.
Why do you think that people should choose you as opposed to the current mayor?
Well, first of all, I think that the vast majority of Chicagoans believe, as I do, that the city is going in the wrong direction. There are a lot of good things that are happening in the city, to be sure, but that largesse is not being spread across enough neighborhoods to enough individuals and families. We have too many neighborhoods in our city that look like wastelands. They have real high poverty rates, high unemployment. There's no economic base in those neighborhoods. You drive down the streets, and there's vacant lot after vacant lot, and it looks like something other than the city of Chicago in 2018.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
With Amazon Business, smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast. Free up your teams and focus on your future. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Haya Pinjwani. A Russian state news agency says North Korea will send thousands of military construction workers and deminers to Russia. That's after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russian forces fired hundreds of drones and 32 missiles at Ukraine overnight. Officials say 14 people were killed and nearly 100 wounded in Kyiv. Israel's strikes on Tehran have broadened as President Trump issued an ominous warning. AP's Charles de Ledesma.
Now, just days into the ongoing operation against Iran, the opposition, led by Yair Lapid, has closed ranks behind the effort, suspending months of bitter criticism against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his handling of the war in Gaza. In his first international media interview since the start of the operation against Iran, Lapid explains his thinking.
I support it completely. I think we had no choice. It's not like we declared war on Iran. Iran has declared war on Israel years ago. Did everything in its power to make sure they have nuclear weapon, and the reason they want the nuclear weapon is in order to use it against Israel.
It's a sharp about-face for Lapid's constellation of parties that have criticised Netanyahu throughout the war.
Yes, this now government needs to be toppled, but not in the midst of an existential fight for our life.
I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Trump abruptly left the G7 summit in Canada. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, Trump says he prefers more than a ceasefire and instead wants Israel and Iran to end their conflict.
Certainly possible. Complete give up. That's possible, yeah.
A wildfire forced about 50 people to evacuate from their homes on Hawaii's Maui Island. Maui's fire department said the blaze was about 85% contained. This is AP News. A pair of European satellites have created the first artificial solar eclipse.
A solar eclipse is a relatively rare phenomenon, but the European Space Agency has figured out how to make one on demand.
To see the corona, we needed to align the two spacecraft and the sun.
Andrei Zhukov at the Royal Observatory of Belgium says it took some fancy formation flying.
The two spacecraft should be aligned with a precision below millimeter.
Now the ESA has released pictures of that artificial total solar eclipse, and scientists anticipate nearly 200 over the next 2 years. As to why?
We hope to learn a lot about the physics of the solar corona close to the solar surface, to see how the solar wind is accelerated, and also to see the origin of coronal mass ejections, which can disturb the human technology when they arrive at the Earth.
I'm Ben Thomas.
I'm Haya Panjwani, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few spotty showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, a blend of clouds and sunshine develops with a high around 90. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 15. Then for tonight, a chance for showers and storms, cloudy, a low near 69. Wednesday, chance for rain and storms, cloudy, high of 82 degrees. Thursday, sunshine and a high around 83. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 73.
Explore the connection between type 2 diabetes and chronic kidney disease, how patients can improve outcomes, and how research is shaping tomorrow's treatments. Join Doctors Manish Jain and Khalil Saeed for a free Lunch and Learn hosted by Flourish Research, MedEvidence, and Weiss Memorial Hospital. This free event takes place Wednesday, July 2nd at Weiss Memorial Hospital, 4646 North Marine Drive in Chicago. Lunch will be provided, but space is limited. RSVP today at 773-275-3500, extension 113.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820 AM, where facts matter. Take it away, Richard.
Yeah, guys, we're back. How about that for a Tuesday morning? Music, see? Brings us together. And great to have you guys call in and text in what you think is a good political, social song that's impacted you. And there are many. But there's also some clips from some people who are not afraid to speak their mind, that are our Democrats who've been elected on a state level, local level, state, and national. And Congresswoman Bonnie Watson-Coleman made it clear in the clip we played before we went to the break. And here's one from our next guest. That she's also given the business to the people, and that would be Senator Kelda Royce. We got a clip that we're going to play right now.
We've heard them just make excuse after excuse. We've heard everything from parents to just stay home and drop out of the workforce. because I think a lot of my colleagues don't recognize that that is not feasible economically for the vast majority of families in the state anymore. This is not the 1950s. Parents need 2 incomes, and that is barely enough for folks to survive. We have heard Senator Ron Johnson say, "I've never thought it was society's responsibility to take care of other people's kids." And I can't imagine a more selfish, stupid, and short-sighted approach. We recognize in this country that all of us have a stake in making sure that every single kid has the opportunity to thrive. Every kid. No one deserves to be left behind. It shouldn't matter who you are, who your parents are, where you're from, what you look like. You deserve a chance to shine and be the best version of yourself that you can. And that's the kind of state that we want to build together. That is why we will not accept $0 for childcare. We want our kids to be the first investment that the state makes, not the last thought, as Republicans have made it clear again and again.
And with that, I have to welcome from the 26th District up in Madison, Wisconsin, none other than Senator Kelda Royce. Good morning, ma'am, and welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning, Richard. Good to be with you.
Kind of forgot you had those words out there, heating them up, did you?
Well, I said those words while I was holding my toddler.
I know.
Being quiet but squirming.
Man, listen, this has been back to back. We had the clip from Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, not mincing any words, and you didn't either. I love how you said this is unacceptable. We're not going to settle for this. And I like how you also identified, this isn't the 50s. The 50s was great, and we've had the understanding of why the 50s was great, post World War II, and into the career. But it's not the 50s now. So going back to that doesn't help anybody, even a select few, if they think about it. But anyhow, welcome to our show, and thank you for taking time to be with us. I just love it when someone like you, as an elected official, says, "Oh, heck no." And if you could just take a moment, Senator, and share with our audience a little bit about your background, a little bit about your ascent, and kind of where you are now, and what's driving you right now in this moment.
Sure. Well, I'm a state senator in Wisconsin. I'm also a mom. My spouse and I have 5 kids, and 2 of whom are now young adults, my stepdaughters. And I'm also an attorney by training and a small business owner. I'm really passionate about helping Wisconsin turn blue again. I think we've got a progressive state that has really been snuffed by Republican tricks and gerrymandering and voter suppression, but we are on the cusp of turning Wisconsin blue again. And in this moment of crisis for our country, I'm really proud to be on the front lines of the fight to defend our democracy, protect our freedoms, including reproductive freedom, and stand up for the values that I think the vast majority of us share, like making sure that every one of our kids has the opportunity to succeed and thrive.
And so many people are with you in that space. I mean, you come from a family of folks who were out there in the fight. Your mom was a social worker. Your stepfather was an environmental lawyer. Your father, your father, if I'm correct, was a prosecutor. Is that correct? So you've definitely come from a cloth that says a part of our responsibility is to get out there and to protect and to help and to serve people. And you've carried that baton extraordinarily well in your career.
Thank you. Yeah, even my grandparents were active in the civil rights movement, so I didn't really have much choice but to spend whatever time and talent I might have trying to help make positive change in the world. And I think all of us have the chance and have the responsibility, especially at a moment like this, to say, what can I do? If I don't find what's happening acceptable, then what am I going to do to try to change that?
Well, and this is what's so important in what you said about this moment. And this moment is definitely, this weekend, I should say, is definitely a very powerful reminder. I just looked at the numbers from the Park Service that said it was 13.1 million and 2,300 different rallies and protests throughout the country. That's saying something, that people are not happy with where. I know, right? Wow. I mean, I had originally at the beginning of the show said it was 5 million, and I was quickly corrected in a positive way that it's more than that. And that to me is where, and what is a sign right now that folks are, they want to be heard, and your constituents have been very loud and proud with you in supporting your work. And you've really taken on environment as one issue. You've taken on, obviously, family and children. Talk a little bit about why climate has become such an important part, and climate integrity has been such an important part of your work.
Well, I have kids, and I want a livable environment for them. I'm also very passionate about what happens to human health when we pollute the environment, right? The fact that pregnant women shouldn't be eating a lot of fish, the fact that children in our state still drink water from lead-filled pipes, and we have PFAS and microplastics in our bodies. So there are so many reasons that we need to focus on making sure that our environment is clean and healthy and sustainable for us, but it's also an economic issue, right? And if we want to have an economy that is thriving and not subject to the whims of fossil fuel companies and, climate disruption, then we need to be investing in technology and research and companies that are going to be sustainable in the long run.
Small businesses are at the tip of the spear whenever it comes to who needs the help the most in the business environment. Talk a little bit about that and why that's so important to you at this point in your career and the work that you're doing.
Well, I feel very lucky that I had the opportunity to start my own small business, to become an entrepreneur. And I think for a lot of people, that's a dream that they have. But it's really hard to say, I'm going to take that leap, I'm going to leave my job, or I'm going to make my side hustle my full-time gig, because we live in a country where we're rationing people's health care. We're rationing their access to a secure retirement, to other benefits like paid family leave based on the job that they have. And so if you happen to have a good job that has benefits, you're reluctant to leave that. Most people don't have the financial safety net to do that. They don't have generational wealth. In my case, I was really lucky. I had some savings, and I had a spouse who was working who said, I can carry us for a few months if you want to try to get this thing off the ground. And I think that, every American, if they have the dream and the work ethic and want to give that a shot, they should be able to do that.
Yeah, and it's always a partnership, and it's great to know that you've been able to recognize the partnership between small businesses and the community, and making sure that people understand that the extension, the dotted lines that small business connection to the community has. John, or Sally that runs a local, whatever that business might be, and you could be in a city as big as Chicago or in a smaller community, but that small business person tends to know the folks that are right in that community, right in that neighborhood, whether it be on the south side of Chicago, the north side of Chicago, or in Madison, Wisconsin. So thank you for reminding us of the importance of the partnership that small businesses have with our community. So talk to us a little bit about, let's shift a little bit about toward some of the national things that have happened of late. And you saw what took place this weekend and numbers of people that were out protesting. But we also saw, and y'all take this the right way, I thought about Senator Roy's yesterday in a different way. And let me tell you what I thought about. The officials that were shot and killed in Minnesota were state officials. Mm-hmm. And I thought about you in this way yesterday, and I was like, I don't know how you're feeling right now. I'm hoping you're feeling a certain element of safety, but just share with us as a state representative what went through your mind, what went through your heart when you heard about what took place to officials in one of our neighboring states.
Well, I think I, like most Americans, was horrified and devastated to learn of these assassinations of state elected officials in our neighboring state of Minnesota. And then, later in the day, we learned that the murderer had a hit list of about 70 other elected officials. And I came out of the reproductive rights movement. Before I ever ran for office, I worked on reproductive justice and rights. And so I'm no stranger to threats and political violence. But it didn't surprise me that this individual was apparently very active in the anti-choice movement, that he was steeped in, far right-wing extremist rhetoric, Alex Jones and InfoWars, because, what it really makes me think is that we have become so desensitized to violent rhetoric, and it's putting all of us at risk. Elected officials, certainly, but all of us. And it's not acceptable in this country that the price for serving your community is risking your safety or your family's safety.
Not at all. And that's the one thing that is why I thought about you and so many other elected officials that we have had on our show. We're talking with Senator Kelda Roys of the Senate District 26 in Wisconsin, a strong Democrat and one who is fighting the fight. And I just love that clip. You guys, there's a video part to it where she, like she said, she's holding her child who's squirming, but she's still, meaning Senator Roys is still making her message clear that the things that are happening from the Republican Party on the state level and on a national level in Wisconsin is unacceptable. Senator Roys, tell us what's unique in your observation about Wisconsin politics. You're neighboring Illinois, and can you kind of wedge in between Illinois and Minnesota? And I mean, Chicago politics. You've been around the block in this space. You know what happens here. And our Mayor Johnson he's a fighter, just like you are. But what's so unique about Wisconsin politics? What's changed? And this goes back to your statement earlier about bringing Wisconsin back to being blue.
Well, Wisconsin does have an incredible progressive legacy, right? We were at the forefront of the conservation movement. We were at the forefront of the progressive movement in the early 20th century. And, we were one of the first states to pass protections for LGBTQ Americans. So we have a lot to be proud of. But over the last 15 years, because we ended up with a Republican trifecta in 2011, which was the year that we did our legislative redistricting and they redrew the boundaries, Republicans were absolutely ruthless in using that power, which is supposed to be temporary and given by the people, to essentially draw themselves into a permanent majority. And they had created essentially an unbreakable gerrymander so that even when we elected statewide Democrats 6 years ago as governor and attorney general and all the statewide offices, they still prevented any kind of progress from happening. They used campaign finance laws and voter suppression laws to really change the rules of the game and rig elections and actually take away power from our Democratic elected officials. But now, because we have been able to flip the state Supreme Court from the conservative stronghold to a more liberal and fair-minded court, we have new, fairer maps. And we are on the cusp of turning Wisconsin blue again, because voters will actually have a chance to elect their representatives rather than representatives picking their state. But we are a nice blue-tinged purple, and I'm looking forward to Wisconsin reclaiming that mantle of progressivism.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I got to throw something out that you can't say. Maybe you can, or maybe you will, because you throw some flames. Scott Walker was a disaster for not only the state of Wisconsin, but for this part of the upper Midwest.
Yes, he was.
There's no other way of putting it, and that leads me to say something that I want to get your take on. I feel, and I'm asking a question, but also making a statement, that we have to inspire and still motivate more, not only Democratic leaders, but regular everyday folks to speak their mind on the dissatisfactions that are coming from Washington, but some of the state houses, to your point, that have been gerrymandered. The fix for that is to vote those folks out. I mean, am I oversimplifying it? But I think we have to have more folks that are willing to knock some tables over. What say you, ma'am?
Well, yeah, I mean, in the democracy, your remedy. Yeah, if you're unhappy, you can protest, but ultimately you've got to be able to vote people out of office if you don't like what they're doing. And the reason that it has been so hard in so much of this country to make progress on issues that 60, 70, 80% of people agree on, for instance, funding public education, not private voucher schemes, making sure that everybody's got access to health care regardless of who you are or how much money you have, protecting access to abortion rights, protecting gay marriage, voting rights, addressing gun safety, right? All of these are really, really popular. They're not controversial. And yet we struggle to make progress, particularly at the state level, because of the pervasive way that gerrymandering distorts our democracy, and it breaks that connection, that accountability between voter and elected representative. And I think addressing that kind of way that Republicans in particular, but sometimes Democrats, can skew the rules of the game in their own favor to keep power, it's one of the most significant challenges that our democracy faces.
Yeah, as that along with the Electoral College is another one that is a problem. So last question, and then I want to be able to wrap up and have you speak about how folks can follow you and get with you. It's a big question, but I'll make it as simple as I can. There's this conversation around the Democratic Party needs to retool itself. It needs to change. It needs to do this. Didn't do that right correctly in the last election. You've heard all the commentary on a federal level, on a state level, and all the rest. But a lot of people are saying tacking to the middle could be a recipe for further disaster because of all the people that get left behind when we if we were to tack to the, quote, more conservative Democratic way of being. What is your thought on that conversation?
Well, I'm really a big tent person. I think that politics is math, and you got to get to 50% plus one. And if you don't want Trump to modify the judiciary, and if you don't want us to lose our democracy, then we have got to compete and win in places where Democrats have not been very competitive. If you look at that United States Senate map, if you look at communities that are going far red, we have to find candidates that fit that district. And you know what? On the left, I think sometimes we get a little too focused on hunting heretics in our own ranks rather than cultivating converts. And let me tell you, our political opponents are out there cultivating converts every single day. They're trying to corrupt the next generation. They are overseeing a media empire that is focused on propaganda and disinformation. So we have got to meet people where they are. We've got to run and support candidates that might be different from me, right? They're not going to agree with me on everything. Maybe they don't want to see, the kinds of sweeping protections that I'd like to see in health care or child care. But you know what? We've got to make common purpose to defeat Trump, to defeat this attempt to destroy what does make America good, which is our democracy.
And the thing that's so interesting about your point is the conversation now is Trump, the GOP, and how that's filtering down. If there is a trickle down, that there is definitely the impact of that on a local level, a state and local level, because of what these executive orders are doing to communities, and ones like the one that you serve. So I get your point. I'm glad to have you. I'm glad you were able to kind of put some clarity to that about going to where people are. Okay, so we're going to have you back because you're one of our local heroes in our neighboring state of Wisconsin, and we want to make sure that we do that. But I got to ask you one question that I put to everybody earlier, and that is, what is your song? What is your political or social song that you think about when you think about where we are in these current times?
Oh, wow. There's so many. I have such eclectic musical taste. But I made a playlist for my kids, for my daughters, before I had my youngest son, and it's called Power Girls. And on there, I just have a lot of anthems about being proud and speaking up for what you believe in and believing in yourself. And I think, we can all use that these days. Part of what Trump and the right wing want to do is they want to silence us and intimidate us. And as we saw this weekend, people are not going to be silenced. We are speaking out. We are coming together. And we know that is how we are going to protect our country. So I'm going to say things like, Fight Song by Rachel Patton or Girl on Fire by Alicia Keys.
Yep.
We've got some great songs.
Absolutely, and that's cool that you made a playlist. Nothing better than a good musical playlist. Senator Kelda Royce, tell folks how they can find you, how they can get involved, whether they be in Wisconsin or not. I'm all about the national support of our local officials who are running for office is as important as the guy or gal down the street from you. If you get support from somebody in San Francisco or from Boston or from Seattle or from Miami, that benefits your campaign. And so let folks know how they can find you.
It does. Well, thank you. You can find me on Act Blue. You can find me on all the socials. I'm at Kelda Royce, Kelda, Kelda, Royce, Roys. And I love hearing from people all over the country. I try to be responsive when folks send me, especially a personal note. Wisconsin really is on the front lines. We are a tipping point state, and what happens in our state has national implications. So if we want to be able to elect Democrats and progressives around the country, we have got to make sure that Wisconsin flips blue. And the state Senate is really the epicenter. We are the most flippable chamber in the country to go from red to blue. We only need 2 seats, and I'm devoting all of my time to making sure we can do that.
Did you guys hear what she just said? That Wisconsin Senate is the most flippable state Senate in the country, but then the greater impact on the region and the rest of the country is massive. So, guys, you got to get with Senator Kelda Royce from the 26th District in Wisconsin. She's one of those rock stars that's getting it done. She's not afraid to carry a baby around and tell folks the what for. So I kind of dig that about you and appreciate you taking the time to be with us. And I made you chuckle this morning, so my job is done, y'all. Senator, thank you for being...
You started my day great.
I am thankful that you have been able to be with us this morning. We will have you back because of the work that you're doing. We didn't even get a chance to talk about some of the legislative bills that you're pushing, but we'll have you back and we'll talk about that in the next few weeks. Does that sound okay?
That sounds wonderful. Thanks so much, Richard.
Thanks for being with us, Senator. Have a great day. Stay safe, and we got our arms around you, okay?
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye. There you go, guys. Senator Kelda Royce, she is getting it done. She is putting the work in. And if you guys want the clip that we played earlier of her on the House floor in Wisconsin with her child in tow, but making that on fire speech, I will send it to you. Just send me an email and we'll get it to you. When we come back, we're going to be talking with another person who's getting it done. And that's Jahmal Cole. And you guys know who he is. My block, my hood, my city. He's the CEO of that wonderful organization. And we're looking forward to having time to chat with him when we come back. So the number, of course, is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Your mind. Good, bad, or hilarious. Shoot a voicemail to Richard Chew at 773-467-8202 and leave your take.
This is Tony Moray. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners. And we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience to help you. Please call me at 847-996-0496. My website is moreylawoffice.com. That's Morey spelled M-O-R-E-E. Again, the phone is 847-996-0496. There is no cost or obligation for our initial discussion. I look forward to speaking with you.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. During the Civil War, 11% of the Confederate Army was made up of enslaved men forced to join. One of these men was Robert Smalls. Smalls was a deckhand on the Confederate supply ship known as the Planter. During his time, Smalls learned as much as he could about navigating the ship so he and others could escape, and on May 13th of 1862, while officers were sleeping, Smalls, along with 16 others, took the planter out of the Charleston harbor, navigating through all 5 checkpoints while heading to open waters looking for the Union blockade. Smalls raised a white flag of surrender, letting Union soldiers board the ship, giving them guns, ammo, and documents about planned Confederate attacks. Being a wealth of information, Smalls was given the role of the Union Navy captain. Stories like Smalls are one of the many factors convincing President Lincoln to allow free African Americans to serve in the Union Army. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few spotty showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, a blend of clouds and sunshine develops with a high around 90. Winds out of the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting as high as 15. Then for tonight, a chance for showers and storms, cloudy, a low near 69. Wednesday, chance for rain and storms, cloudy, high of 82 degrees. Thursday, sunshine and a high around 83. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 74.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Great to have Senator Kelda Roys from Wisconsin State District 26 with us. Looking forward to having her on again. She is a change agent in this time that we're in, a great leader, someone that understands the importance of bringing people together. And if there is a prototype right now of someone who is bringing people together and making sure that local folk have something to be inspired about, that local folks have a thing to reach toward and to fight for, it is none other than Jahmal Cole, who is the founder and CEO of My Block, My City, My Hood. And Jahmal, good morning and welcome to Choose Views.
Hey, thank you for having me. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. It's been a while. And we talked earlier this year, and the hoodie ball was phenomenal. But my goodness, man, let me just say this. I mean, normally I like to have folks do their own introduction, but I want to just take a moment and do a little soft introduction. Jahmal is a respected community leader, social justice advocate, the founder and CEO of My Block, My Block, My Hood, My City, a non-profit organization focused on inspiring youth and fostering civic engagement across Chicago's 77 great communities, I might add. A multi-award-winning activist, Jahmal has been recognized by Chicago Reader, Chicago Magazine, Chicago Defender, the American Red Cross for his leadership and community service. He's the subject of an acclaimed documentary, A Tiny Ripple of Hope, and holds the honorary doctorates from both Adler and DePaul University. In 2025, President Joe Biden awarded Jahmal the President's Volunteer Service Lifetime Achievement Award. Man, that's Jahmal Cole, y'all. This is a guy, a local Chicago brother who made the decision that he had a responsibility to lean in to make a change in our community. And I will say, guys, that Jahmal's leaning in to make change here in Chicago is now having that domino effect in other communities because people know about what you're doing. And I wanted to take the moment and do the intro myself and read a little bit about your bio and a little bit about the work that you're doing. So again, welcome to the show this morning, and you deserve the praise that's being appropriately heaped on your shoulders. So thank you again, Jahmal, not only for being with us, but for all the work that you're doing.
Hey, man, it's all God, man. It's all God. I got a great team, and I'm just a volunteer, bro. I started volunteering at Cook County Jail. Literally, man, I started, I literally grew up in a shelter and was embarrassed to eat food, and my parents would just say, don't be ashamed to hold your head up and get that food, go get it. But I was so embarrassed because my classmates would be, volunteering with the clear gloves and passing out the food. I never knew back then that I would start a nonprofit or, start a shelter. I never knew that. I just knew that I was so, grateful to the volunteers that helped me out. I didn't even know that nonprofits existed. I didn't know volunteering was a thing. I just knew that when I started doing it, it made me feel useful. I felt useful. I swear. When I started volunteering at the jail, I felt like I remember when I used to think like you. I remember when I used to, think that my parents didn't go to college or I couldn't do this and that. And I knew that I could help people. And that feeling of usefulness has sustained me for all these years. And these awards have come because I've asked a lot of questions from people that I feel are smarter than me. Hey, how do you do this? Hey, how do you go about starting a nonprofit? Hey, how do you go about before ChatGPT? How do you edit this? How do you do this? And so I get a lot of credit, man. But it's really I'm what you see, but I'm like, there's a lot of people I stand on the shoulders of. So thank you, though.
Well, but that and that right there is an example of what I'm talking about. You recognize the shoulders that we all stand on. I think we just keep building that pyramid of greatness by standing on those shoulders, but also letting folks know that we all stand on the shoulders of someone else. And here's the thing about that, Jahmal. I know you know this. Those people's shoulders that we stand on are people that are still with us. It's not just folks that have passed away. These are people that are right here, and you just illuminated that. These are people that you turned to and said, "Hey, how do I do this?" And
yeah.
And what's cool
my dad tells me that all the time.
But you know what's I think is cool about that, Jahmal, is that it allows. I think you articulating that says to folks, and we all could get caught in this trap of not being willing to ask for help or being willing to turn to somebody and say, "Man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here or how to get this done. Can you help me understand how to make this thing happen?" And I believe that oftentimes, because we all like to talk and we all like to, well, most of us like to talk and like to reach out, there's a person there that has an answer for us, but sometimes we get caught up in our own silo. I talk about this a lot, Jahmal, and I want you to take this baton and run with it. So many people right now are looking for something to do, a place to be, and I just keep sharing with folks on my show as best as the good Lord can give me the strength to do, and that is, don't get caught in your silo. Get out, reach out, touch, get with people, find something to do. Why, in your mind and your experience, Jahmal, is that so critically important?
Yeah, it's important because success is what you attract. It's not what you pursue. And if you find what you're passionate about, like what wakes you up at 5 in the morning or 6, it's that. And whatever you're passionate about, if you do that, you start to organically build relationships that'll help you be successful because that's attractive. Like you smile different, you move. What's that person so happy for? Let me get it. It's just, you can just tell I'm attracted to that. And so I think you walking your purpose in some Air Force Ones, man. And I'm walking in my purpose. And right now I'm actually in Traverse City, Michigan, because I'm actually taking every year. This is what walking your purpose is like. We take 15 teenagers from the south and west side of Chicago to Traverse City, Michigan, at Mackinac Island. 10 years ago, they saw me on WTTW, the city of Traverse in Michigan, 6 hours away. They saw me do an interview. Every year since, this is year 9, they've created a fund to take our students from North Lawndale, from Inglewood, from Roseland, from Chatham to Traverse City, and then we go to Mackinac Island on a ferry. The number one thing the kids say when they're out here is, "I haven't heard a siren in 3 days." The McDonald's beef tastes different out here than it does in Chicago. And we get to go on a ferry, we get to go play volleyball, we get to go canoeing, we have a barbecue. They don't have to look over their shoulder and worry all the time because they get exposed to something different. So that's where I'm at right now. My program, we take teenagers on field trips. We call them explorations, and we expose them to different cultures, different professions, different cuisines. So if you live in North Lawndale and there's 15 currency exchanges and no banks, if you ask a kid what's a job at a bank, they don't know. So we take kids to banks so they can expose themselves to jobs. We take them to restaurants so they can learn the business of running the kitchen. We take them to trading firms so they can learn Microsoft and Linux engineering, architectural firms. We do a lot of exposure because we think exposure is violence prevention. That's what I was doing at Cook County Jail. It just blew my mind at the jail that nobody had ever been downtown. But forget downtown. They'd never been on a plane. They'd never waited for a taxi, never been on an elevator. the only time they ever heard live music was from a bucket boy. And so we're all about exposing kids to things. And I'm in Mackinac Island right now enjoying the breeze. Well, I'm not in Mackinac Island yet. I'm in Traverse City with 15 youth from North Lawndale, from Roseland, and we're all about to head to Mackinac Island soon. So,
well, I don't want you miss your ferry, so I'm going to keep this moving along. But you've got a great event coming up in a few weeks, and it's something that you started, and it's become hugely successful. And it's something that people are mimicking it, but also the importance of it, and that's Downtown Day. This is the third annual that's coming up this July. Talk to our audience about Downtown Day.
Yeah, just think, when's the last time you ever been downtown without any money in your pocket? When's the last time what do you think it's like for a teenager to go downtown without any money in their pocket, right? They go to the top of the Sears Tower. It costs $44. I still call it the Sears Tower, by the way. To go to to go to Navy Pier and ride the Centennial Wheel, that's $22. A slice of pizza at Giordano's costs $6,700. You know what I mean? So it's like no kids have any money to do anything downtown. But now we're inviting kids downtown on July 19th and giving them $50 to do whatever they like to do. How do you think that's going to change their perception of downtown, right? No longer are they going to feel like they're excluded. Now they're being welcomed downtown. So on July 19th, we invite 1,000 kids downtown. This is year 3. Last year, y'all, 1,850 kids showed up. Downtown does a good job. All the museums, the Field Museum, the Harris Theater, City Hall, the Shed Aquarium, all these places open up their doors for our kids to explore on July 19th. So if you have a youth that's a teenager that wants to come downtown and explore, tell them to go to our website, formyblog.org, and sign up. Please make a donation at formyblog.org/Downtown Day. This is one of our biggest events. It's a holiday for youth. It's called Downtown Day, and it's happening July 19th at 10 a.m.
It's so amazing how the success of this and the number of children that young folks that have been impacted by it and how that's spreading throughout the city of Chicago. And I can't not say, because of your vision and your willingness to say, I'm going to put it on the line and ask for help. And the help has come, and we want to keep that help coming. Let's talk a little bit about one of the other things that you've got going on. The list is long, y'all, and we don't have enough time. So we'll get 100 blocks in 100 days. Talk about that, Jahmal.
Yeah, so that's actually changed. So I was doing 100 blocks in 100 days last year, where I go to a block club and I talk about the issues in our block. If they needed ring cameras, if they needed solar lights, if they needed a speed bump, a stop sign, a drug house, whatever the place may be. And I spent an hour walking around the block. That wasn't enough. And so I revamped or reimagined that initiative to being Live 77. So I was doing 100 blocks in 100 days. I walked 100 blocks and stayed an hour. That wasn't enough. Now I'm living in all of Chicago's 77 communities for 30 days at a time. Month 1 was South Shore. Month 2 was Pullman. Month 3 was Uptown. Month 4 was Humboldt Park. And now I'm living in Rogers Park for month 5. So you heard right. It's a 77-month journey, 6 years and 5 months of me living in all 77 communities for 30 days at a time. I'm going to the small churches, the big churches. I'm meeting with the aldermen, the state reps, the senators, the commissioners. I'm talking with the grass top leaders, the mutual aid associations, the nonprofits. And at the end of every month, we have a civic energy workshop where everybody comes together, right? It's happening on the 28th in Rogers Park at Pratt Pier. Come to the 28th. Pratt Pier at 12 p.m. We're going to have a civic energy workshop right there in the lake. And yeah, so we just talk about the assets instead of the deficits. Like, what's making this community strong? I'm not here to fix anything. I want to learn what's making the community so strong. And yeah, that's what it is. It's called Live 77. You can go to my website, formyblog.org. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm just meeting people and finding out what's making – I don't want to talk about if it bleeds, it leads. I don't want to talk about the deficits. I don't want to talk about the unemployment, the truancy, the crime, the welfare, the broken families, the mental health, the drugs. I want to talk about the mutual aids, the nonprofits, the community groups. I want to figure out what's good. And so that's what I'm doing, man. It's a positive experience, and we're building block clubs along the way.
Well, Henry, who's our engineer here, is nodding his head with a smile on his face. I'm sitting here with a smile, just nodding my head and affirmation of the work that you're doing and staying on the positive tip about what's in our communities and in our different neighborhoods. And you've even reached or created inside of your program a belief that we've got to also take care of and reach out to our seniors by having senior services initiatives. Talk about that for a moment.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I grew up in Chatham, man, South Side. So Chatham is not a community, it's a state of mind. And that state of mind is block clubs, that state of mind is home ownership, black businesses, and we have a lot of elders in Chatham. And so, like 70% of the residents are elders. So if it's a snowstorm, we know the elders are they're the last people to get help from the city because the city is overwhelmed. If there's a heat wave, we do simple stuff, man. We deliver waters and we deliver box fans to elders in the community. So actually this week, Thursday, Juneteenth, listen, if you're an elder that lives on the south side of Chicago, we have a volunteer event at Hamilton Park. We're delivering waters and fans to seniors all over the city. So if you need support, go to formyblock.org and sign up.
What's important about that is, obviously our weather is starting to change in Chicago, so we are going to have those ups and downs with heat, and we want to make sure that the seniors who are in those areas or anywhere in the city has the ability to reach out and have support. We're talking with Jahmal Cole, who is the founder and CEO of My Block, My Hood, My City, and he's about to cross the waters to make his way to I just lost my train of thought. Tell us where you are again.
Yeah, Traverse City. We're headed to Mackinac Island. So,
right.
Yep,
there we go.
That's where we're headed to.
You've used this phrase a couple times, and I'd like you to take a moment in these last few minutes to just share what this means to you. You've said this a couple times, Jahmal. I imagined. So help the listeners anywhere in the country understand what that means to you and how it's become one of your superpowers.
Yeah, I think ideas are powerful weapons and tools that can be used to change the world, and so, I try to dream more than I think, and I think I believe a lot, so I don't know, man, I just put it into practice. I make a lot of mistakes, I fail a lot, but I'm not afraid to continue to try and continue to just not give up. So that's my mentality. I know that you reap triple what you sow, and I know the universe is going to reward you for actually going 100. So I don't. If you plant, pumpkins, you're not going to get, cucumbers. You know what I mean? So like you're going to get what you put in. And so that's my whole philosophy, man. Is do more than people expect. I know I'm going to reap triple what I sow, and I know that if I'm doing it for the right reasons, then I can't fail. I know I'm going the right direction. And also, I realize that the road is so narrow you can't turn around. So when you start seeing the tribulations, when you start experiencing the setbacks, you're going the right way, man. You just can't give up. And so that's kind of like my philosophy. That's how I move.
Yes, staying plugged in. And as you were talking, Jahmal, what I wrote down is keep your mind and your head right, keep your spirit right, and you really have become the epitome of that right now with the organization and with the leadership that you're showing every single day to folks that have become part of the organization and those who've benefited from the work that you're doing. So, as I said at the beginning, I am respectfully, I say this, so proud of you and so proud of the work that you're doing. I got to give you send a shout out to you from one of our followers and partners of the show, and that would be none other than Woodstock City Councilwoman Natalie Ziemba. And I know you recognize her and her name. Yeah. And she's a strong supporter. She sent me a text this morning with a big picture of you and her mom, and she says, "My guy," with 3 big smiley faces. So, shout out to you from Natalie.
That's what's up. Tell her I said what's up, and tell her thank you for the support. Like, I couldn't do it without her. Couldn't do it without anybody that's supporting My Block, My City. We're one of the 16,000 nonprofit organizations in Chicago, and we can't survive without, people believing in us. So we're going to be around for 100 years. That's our goal. And our motto is to take care of people no matter what, like the Red Cross. So tell Natalie I said what's up. I hope to see her at either downtown day or Holiday Lights. And, thank you guys for having me on the show and everybody that's supporting the organization. So.
Absolutely. One last time, Jahmal, how can folks find you? How can folks get involved? And the latest or the most current things that are going to be happening. Remind folks one more time.
Yeah, so you can find out more about the organization at formyblock.org. That's formyblock.org. You can go to our social media. It's My Block, My Hood, My City on Instagram, My Block, My Hood, My City on Facebook, and keep up with what we're doing. And what we have coming up this week is Juneteenth. We're going to be meeting in Hamilton Park in Inglewood, and we're going to be passing out waters and box fans to seniors in the area. When the city gets overwhelmed by Mother Nature, the elders are the last to get the help. And so if you need a box fan, if you need water, you can go to our website, go to our social media, actually, My Block, My Hood, My City on Instagram, and you can sign up. And also we have Downtown Day coming up on July 19th, where we're taking 1,000 kids downtown and giving them $1,000 to do everything they wanted to do before. They didn't have the money to do it, though. So we're going to help them explore the Sears Tower, Millennium Park. We're going to go to the Harris Theater. We're going to go to Navy Pier, all the museums, all the boat rides. We need your donations to make it happen. We see city council is finding kids $250 for going downtown past 8 o'clock. We need you guys to donate $250 to My Block, My Hood, My City. So go to formyblock.org/downtown day and donate. And just thank you guys big time for the support.
Absolutely. One last question to ask you. Earlier in the show, I asked people to call in or text in or let me know what is their song of political and social change that moves them. What would be one of your songs that's been a Jahmal go-to song that's impacted you in whatever way it has in your lifetime? Ooh.
Man, I think that's a great question. I'm going to say I like Nas' Rise and Fall. Nas is my favorite rapper, and I like how he talks about, when he started his business, he was very famous, and then, he spent all his money, year one, and then he was broke, and nobody believed he could do it again. He had a lot of tribulations, but he kept going, and then he actually he did better than he ever could have imagined. I think when you're starting a nonprofit organization in Chicago, if the mountain was smooth, everybody's going to climb it. Like, you're supposed to experience tribulations. You're supposed to experience setbacks. It's going to be hard to get that grant. And I think that as long as you persevere, as long as you keep going, you will experience the rise and fall, and you will rise again. So I think Nas' Rise and Fall is probably my favorite song of all time.
There you go. Jahmal Cole, y'all, founder and CEO of My Block, My City, My Hood. Thank you so much for being with us. Enjoy your time in Upper Michigan. We appreciate all you do, Jahmal. Look forward to having you back again once we get to the latter part of the summer before we get our kids going back to school. Does that sound okay?
That sounds good, Rich, man. You be safe, man. Thanks for taking the time.
You got it. Be well. Peace. Wow. We can't even keep up with Jahmal and all that he's doing. But you know what you can do? You can keep up with him by reaching out to his website, by going to his website and tapping into the things that he's doing and the work that he's doing to make sure that our children, let's just the whole windshield, Henry, from young folks not being able to experience certain things, and he's making a change in that space, to community things that need to, that the blessings of our community, the positivities of our communities and our neighborhoods, and then making sure that our seniors have some services and that they're not left alone, that they're not left to be felt alone. He's got that full windshield of care for so many people, and that's something that we all can be proud of, and at the same time, we can find our ways to be participants in that. We can find our ways to make sure that our head is right and that we are focused on the upside of things. Listen, on a national level, on a regional, state, local level, we know, to what Senator Roy said earlier, that we got some fights in front of us. And to what Jahmal just said about rise and fall. We know that. That's I guess you could say it's the humankind. But right now, and this is why I'm thankful and what I'm passionate about and what gets me up in the morning, is the ability for us to come together and to find ways to put down put away the things that we are going to fight about, that are going to take away from us being together and staying together, and continue to find ways for us to motivate each other. I know that that's going to require pulling back a few layers to get to the core of some of the issues that we have. We have to do that. We've got to find out where things have gone sideways. At the same time, we also have to be focused on the horizon, and we have to be thinking about those better days that are better days ahead. And it's folks like Senator Royce who does that, and it's folks like Jahmal Cole who does that, and we can take a lot from them. This is where I say the learning that can come from somebody that you didn't even realize you could learn something from. So it's a unique situation that we're in right now. We've talked about it before, and I know we're going to talk about it again. We have the delicate balance of recognizing we have some issues that we've got to fix. And at the same time, in the fix of those issues, it will make us stronger. It will make us better. And the representation, the showing up that took place this weekend, let it not stop there. Okay? That's the kind of energy and that's the kind of attitude that we have to have as we go forward to get our country back on the track that's right for the most amount of people. That's the thing that we have to hold on to, is being right for the most amount of people, right for everybody. But certainly I can comfortably say right for the most amount of people, and where we don't exclude consciously people from our great society. And I'm reminded every day, and to what Jahmal said in terms of passion and energy, to have something that you want to fight for. And I think right now that's kind of where we are, guys. We have to keep reminding ourselves of that. I appreciate you guys being with us this morning. Most definitely Senator Kelda Roys. Check her out, Kelda Roys. She's a senator from the 26th District of Wisconsin, Madison area. And also, you got to get with my guy, Jahmal Cole, for all the hard work that he's doing. Support that organization, my block, my hood, my city. And always thanks to my man, Henry, for being with us and keeping us on the rails and making sure that our show just chugs along every day. Tomorrow on our show, we will have our contributor, Kurt Mullet, Hoosier Blue 63, Darren Parker from the Impulse Group, talking about Chicago Pride Fest. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we're going to have immigration attorney Kate Lincoln Goldfinch with us. As always, you great folks out there, take a deep breath and make your life count. We will see you tomorrow.
Celebrate the culmination of Pride Month in Chicago by attending the Chicago Pride Parade, a celebration of love and unity on Sunday, June 29th. This year's theme, United in Pride, highlights the power of coming together, embracing our diversity, and championing love and equality as one united force. Together, we are unstoppable. You can watch anywhere along the route, from Broadway and Grace to Diversey and Sheridan. For more information, visit pridechicago.org and make sure to keep your eyes out for the WCPT float. If you can't attend the parade in person, you can listen live as Scott Duff and Ellen Miller describe all the excitement on WCPT 820 on Sunday, June 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The WCPT live parade broadcast is sponsored by the Center in Halstead and by Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet. Visit credomobile.com. WCPT 820, your Pride station in Chicago.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I'm